The action genre is constantly being tweaked and evolved upon by creative teams year over year. Spine, developed by Nekki, caught my eye when it was first revealed, but I had my doubts about whether it could deliver on its promises. I've heard of John Wick-like games before, and I've played plenty of action games with cute protagonists, so I was managing my expectations about this project as gameplay footage had been scarce up until last week. Thankfully, I was able to play Spine during Summer Game Fest, and fell right in with what this team is trying to create. It rides a fine line between arcadey, over-the-top action, and fun camera work, delivering a game that manages to feel unique within an often saturated genre.
Hey, Jimmy. The usual, okay? Have you seen all those bodies?
My demo experience with Spine quickly threw me into the action, but let's set the narrative up first. Players assume the role of Redline, who receives assistance from her AI partner, Spine. There were a few different moments where I could interact with some NPCs or I triggered a quick cutscene, but I'll be honest with you, I was here for Redline. Still, I ended up staying for some genuinely exciting moments of cinematic action and gameplay systems this team is putting together. What I would describe as John Wick meets Sifu, Spine doesn't require much from the player on a basic level. You could just as easily go into a match and mash a button similar to games like Batman Arkham Knight, but in that same breath, there's plenty of depth in the design. I found that combinations of attack buttons and throwing in some spray can finishers rewarded my eyes with exceptionally flashy enemy takedowns and flashy martial arts. The team emphasized limiting player exhaustion by not reusing the same finishers and attack animations, and instead they've really gone all in on giving players a cinema-like gaming experience. With that said, while some moments can be seen as easy in retrospect, the boss requires more skill-based strategy when deciding when to attack and when to get the hell out of the way. Whatever the case, the action doesn't stop, and without a formal lock-on, the developers are putting a lot of trust in the camera work that manages not only progression when getting from one place to another, but also the tone and pace of the battles. It's as if you're watching a movie at times during gameplay, and the boss stage being modeled after the elevator scene from The Matrix tells me this is all by design. That said, while the camera is impressive, it's also the area of the game that needs the most work. As it swings around the stages to highlight the finishers and combos, objects get in the way, and sometimes it just doesn't play nicely. Regardless, the team also introduces different camera angles that force you to almost change the way you look at fights, because you are no longer playing in the third person. Instead, you must navigate via an isometric viewpoint that shows a different angle of the action, and it all looks fantastic. There's more than enough time to polish up the game, but I'll admit, it's already very fun. The team is doing a great job of setting it apart from other action games by leaning a little more into spectacle and cinematic work to keep players engaged with its arcadey action, but the challenge is there, and we still don't know much about skill trees or late-game upgrades that add more to the combat. From my time playing, I thoroughly enjoyed the experience I had. Some clever things are going on here, like ammo limitations on stronger weapons that force you to only feel super powerful until your ammo runs out, and creative action sequences that keep you engaged. I'd like to see more reason to use the spray paint action. I think I only used it once, and I'll be the one to say it, but can we have some alternative costumes? Anyway, I'm down to wait, but until then, enjoy this preview. Spine is coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, Nintendo Switch 2, and PC via Steam in 2026. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth, and subscribe to keep up with all of our future content.
Voice Pixel.